everyone, and thank you for joining us today. When going about deciding on how to tackle this crisis, the question becomes which one? Our world, our home, and our family are facing major crises on every front, collective challenges which impact the quality of life and the cost of living for everyone. This includes the generations that come after the people alive today. This statement is profound because to overcome the fear, doubt, shame, and uncertainty of what we can do in the here and now, it's always been our salvation to serve those we love. Change is inevitable, but growth is optional. To overcome the challenges of growing through change, a clear vision of the end-game goal is critical to success. Wisdom is also a key part of this, as wisdom is the experience of knowledge, and it's been my experience that while done in ignorance, the break between our modern economic way of thinking and the principle-centered economics of the natural world have been intentionally perpetuated by those seeking to retain power and control resources. That ends here and now. The imagery and the concepts presented in the Butterfly Renaissance have one purpose. In showing what we might become when we let go of who we are, we can individually and collectively summon the political will to take back our government, our economy, our world, one town, one person at a time. To propose America can be the leaders of the fossil-free world sounds impossible. To state it can be easy sounds arrogant. That is until you accept the greatest wisdom of experience is the lesson of how profound a simple change of perspective can often lead to insights on the path of fundamental change. It's also important to acknowledge the steps of this plan are not fundamental concepts I created or take credit for. They are researched, established, and tested principles that have repeatedly produced greater quality of life and lower cost of living for everyone who has chosen to utilize these tools. We all have profound contributions we can make, and in the here and now, it is my honor to contribute this note to the universal melody, to see the connections between these steps and organize them to be digested by the busiest person in the simplest of terms. This journey has taken me 20 years of near-obsessive dedication to weave the rope, carve the planks, and securely anchor the moorings of this bridge of thought. 50 slides divided into 5 30-minute episodes is how I have chosen to break apart the elements, outline the steps, and hopefully inspire many people on how they can have their own experience and their own renaissance of spirit, body, mind, and heart. Moving back to Alaska from Portland, Oregon, set these ambitions back about 10 years. So as we approach 2020, we begin with the end in mind that takes us back to the beginning of this journey going forward. At least back to 2010, when some friends and I began building the Ark. There are a lot of good people doing really good things right now, and our level of innovation has never been higher. But are we being responsible with this power? Is making the trailer on your new truck disappear on camera more of an innovation than, say, 150 miles an hour per gallon rating, as opposed to 30 at best? Is unicorn marshmallows in cereal a better use of intellect than ending childhood hunger? Or is it just better for short-term profit motives? Every day people make choices, especially in the U.S., that have far-reaching impacts globally. This is why the positive things we do are so important. In high school, it was easy for me to see this system of consumption couldn't last, and as long as profit-driven elites held power, we as a species were facing extinction. But what to do? While my friends went off mission, settled down, had a family, and tried to make their best in a broken world, I made other choices. Choices that led us here today. Before we get into the meat and potato part of this discussion, I want to mention a few important things. The Alliance for Reason and Knowledge was established as a 501c3 in Fairbanks, Alaska in June of 2010. Our mission is to create educational opportunities that empower individuals and enrich their communities. Permaculture is the design science we use as the foundational principles of everything we do. This presentation will be posted to the ARC YouTube channel. Please hit the like button, subscribe to receive updates and new content. Most importantly, please leave a comment. Every positive contribution helps this process grow. Making change is hard, that's true, but the world changes with what you do. This line from the March of the Lorax reminds me the power that's been stolen is the belief in ourselves and each other as imperfect but generally good-natured people, and our ability to make change without power, position, or wealth. This shadow lingers over everything and is the most effective strategy to keep people from organizing a peaceful and beautiful Renaissance, pushing those good-natured people to the point where the Renaissance is lost to revolution. As mentioned before, the bridge of this transition is built on the multitude of efforts from locally established nonprofit groups. They are presented here because we believe they represent the best hope for practical solutions people all over the world can use as tools for local change. Growing local living economies that free people from economic slavery to a system intent on killing us all. We have been in contact with, but are not yet endorsed by these organizations. One of the goals of this effort is to show the relationships in the context of collective benefit as the precursor for future collaboration. Like planting a tree, having these principles integrated into policy and economic practice a decade ago would have prevented much suffering. Implementing them in the next 5 to 10 years is the best chance we can see to give humanity a future in a new world. This effort is not an attempt to prevent climate change, but offered as a potential solution to empower communities to utilize their own best practices and develop solutions that work for them. The steps ascend from a personal commitment to the process to communities of ever larger size until the oceans connect us all in economic policy. And aerospace becomes the peaceful industry to inspire generations to be their best and to take us where no one has gone before. At the same time, resolving the most critical of social ills like homelessness, hunger, and domestic violence. Working on the foundations, the people, that make up a happy home. This is how you care for your family. The hardest thing to do is fill a cup that is already full. Before any progress can be made for us to move forward, as individuals, we must summon the courage to examine some fundamental beliefs to see if they continue to serve our prosperity. The first step is the internalization of some fundamental natural laws, the biggest being that our world is a complex living organism and we coexist with her in a symbiotic relationship. Understanding first that we are one with the land helps connect us with each other. This empathy allows us to see that when we think the harm we cause doesn't impact us, the reality is that it does. We live in a fishbowl. When you throw something away, where does it go? Unless we as individuals can come to terms with the connections we have, we will have difficulty sustaining the energy needed to go back through the past and let go of those things which no longer serve us. Basic caring for the earth and for one another is an excellent place to begin the journey, and the LEAP Manifesto eloquently articulates what that means and how we might go about moving our world forward. There are other principle-based manifestos that profess similar guidance. However, it is important to keep these radical concepts as normal as possible so busy people can see how they work and the profits they produce. Only when people can see how the profits outweigh the cost will they make the investments in the needed change. In this case, the unknown of a future without a great deal of control or oversight. How will we act when the cost of energy is ultra low? How will we encourage responsible behavior so things get better and not worse? The key, of course, is a good education. An education focused on how to think, not just what to think. Growth can be uncomfortable, but it can also be rewarding. The policies and economic behaviors that will result in moving from carbon to hydrogen storage and from a linear to a circular economy open entirely new possibilities of exploration along with opportunities for new growth. This is why so many are looking to the youth for leadership in this new age. Unburdened with the experience of corruption and innocent belief in a positive future, the youth, as they always have been, remain our best hope for a brighter future. It's critically important to understand that no one individual, group, nation, or even generation can address this on their own. 7 billion plus people are contributing to this world, and the real transition occurs when these same individuals, groups, nations, and generations focus 80% of their time and energy on creating a new system and only 20% to hold the line. 100% dedication to holding the line is insufficient to a sustained rebellion, as it erodes the resource base and moral strength to keep going without the support of resilient communities. Sharing this on the web means the demographics are broad. For this work, the target audience is focused on all the rebels and peaceful radicals. We call on the boomers, the hippies, and the hipsters to join together in a harmonious choir, spreading the good work of capacity building for local living economies. This work will never be perfect, but we cannot allow the fear of what we might get wrong to stand in the way of what we can get right. The intention to be the best doesn't make you better. It does, however, stoke the fire of determination that makes every setback a stepping stone to future success. As the first step in a global renaissance, the LEAP Manifesto is not perfect. It is, however, a good place to start having courageous conversations that empower individuals to manifest positive change. At this time, the only wrong action is not to take any action at all. To wait and see, or expect that because you are disabled, retired, or don't believe that you have something to contribute. These are all ways to deny yourself the ability to make your unique contribution to the universal symphony. Do not so quickly go into that dark night. With your last breath for freedom, should you fight. While there are several groups that have been around for decades, and some are still organically organizing, collectively they are good people standing together to say enough, working where they are, with what they have, to do good in the world today. We call these individuals rebels for life. The groups they form, the tribes of the Carpe Diem. Tribe is a perfect word for families by choice, bonded individuals with others voluntarily sharing resources and working collaboratively towards common goals. This list is only a partial one, but shows that where there is a will, we will find a way. That good people don't seek power, we embrace our own power and encourage others to do the same. Such people cannot be distracted, manipulated, and cannot be kept as slaves. Peace will give us strength. Organizing as those who love war becomes the plan to end them all. As individuals remember they are not just a drop in the ocean, the surge will wash away the lies, corruption, and control that for too long have enslaved our bodies, minds, hearts, and spirits. As one family, sharing one home, we all become part of the solution. Technology is not the solution to bridging the gap in our understanding of the connection to nature. It can, however, free us from the burden of repetitive labor. It can enable us to focus our intellect and imagination to work through the challenges, and the people who are ready and willing now become the engineers and architects of the bridge that help others across the chasm of the unknown. While politically there are far more hospitable environments than Big Oil, Alaska, there are many factors that create in this state opportunities few others have. Being natural innovators, we face the fear of death with a hearty laugh and see the wilderness of the unknown as the next place to find gold. While it may have been a surface factor for many people to come to Alaska in the early days, the underlying current remains to search for a better life for ourselves and our families. On our deathbeds, the lives we share are the wealth we treasure. Meaning and fulfillment comes from contributing to the well-being of those we love. Knowing they are safe, happy, and free to thrive is our enduring legacy. If you've never heard of the Chilkoot Trail, I encourage you to look it up. It is a testament to the endurance of the human spirit. We call on that great spirit in us all to pioneer this new frontier of a world beyond poverty, war, and wanton destruction of our home. Because of our relatively small population, geographically remote communities, and extreme temperatures, Alaskans are always adapting to change. Tech industries, aerospace, geotourism, scientific research, zero-waste innovations. These are all contributions Alaska can make to the global economy and are all scalable industries that are innovative drivers. The first experience of any of these industries can inspire another generation by creating locally resilient infrastructure around energy, food, and waste, and do so in a manner that nurtures not only the local culture, but the surrounding environment. Companies are looking for places to build smart cities and test flying cars. Trillions that could leap us forward while giving us, the residents of Alaska, direct involvement in what all this means, translated into low cost of living and high quality of life. It will not be easy. People died on the trail, and the freedom of the wilderness gives us the opportunity and the responsibility for the choices we make. It will also take time, maybe more time than we have, and certainly longer than many of us would like. In the end, it is not where we end up, but that in the beginning of this journey, we as a species grow, and this is the essence of life. The butterfly renaissance is not a philosophical story of what might be someday. The specifics contained herein are tied to the locations, and development has already been started knowing we are on the clock. We can't see it, but we hear it ticking. For a caterpillar to become a butterfly, it must destroy everything it is in a genetic metamorphosis. Watching the evening news, many suspect that nature is already ringing the clock. This is why it was important to establish some context, without being negative, as to our motives for even attempting to build an economy around hydrogen instead of carbon. Hydrogen is the most abundant element in existence. It serves beautifully as a medium of energy exchange and storage to meet our electrical, heating, and transportation needs. When paired with locally generated renewable energy like solar, wind, and hydro, it provides reliable, uninterrupted power even in the dead of night at 60 below. Critics will argue the minutiae of challenges to mass distribution of these viable solutions, but in the end, the simple economics will win. We can simply no longer afford to pump out carbon in mass quantity and expect we will leave a world for our children that is anything more than a toxic dump. This transition is also going to require massive amounts of energy in the form of political will. The will to break down the walls of ignorance and see through the distractions that keep us from being all we can be. When shifting from a linear to a circular economy, the most notable concept is embodied energy. The term embodied energy refers to the sum total of all the energy consumed at all stages of a product's life, from extraction to production, distribution, consumption, and disposal. Embodied energy accounts for all the energy for things that are made and rapidly end up in the landfill. There is an entire physical economy that is conveniently left out of modern and mainstream economic policy, and this is a major source of needless suffering and wanton environmental degradation. As we will discuss in the next episode, saving energy saves everything. Our modern world, even running conservatively, consumes massive amounts of energy. Energy that can be produced locally, reliably, and without central utilities to control it or us. In the next 4 episodes, we will be exploring the rest of the transition steps, what role Alaska can play, and how a unified effort by the collective tribes of the Carpe Diem, represented by the Citizens Council of the Rainbow Nation, can and will systematically and methodically wage guerrilla campaigns of peace, ignite weapons of mass creation, and show those who see the world as theirs to rule that we, the people, have other ideas for our home. Alaska can choose to leap forward or continue falling further behind. The choice is ours, but not forever. The future marches forward, and if we choose not to ride the wave, we will be carried by the current. Small business is the beating heart of local living economies, and nurturing healthy habitat for them will help us all grow. Profit is another word we need to truly understand, a term that can mean prosperity and peace as well as material gain. It's simply another form of energy that we can choose to make things better for everyone, every day. If there are terms or concepts presented here that you do not understand, congratulations, you're growing. We encourage you to research these terms and these simple concepts that have profound impact. If you get stuck, post a comment and we will help how we can. But investigating these truths independently is encouraged for anyone viewing this material. Different perspectives will allow everything to become clear and enabling more people to cross the bridge. Thank you for taking the journey with us, for exploring together how a clear vision of a prosperous future can bring us together to overcome the mountains we cannot climb alone. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and comment with your thoughts or questions. Until next time, be well and love people because they are the treasures that we'll endure.